There are words that just get really overused, and adventure seems to be the current theme for everything. But you know, there's actually history behind it. Adventure came out to distinguish a specific type of rider. It was different than a dual sport rider or somebody that was just a traveler. It had to do with people that loaded their bikes up and spent long distance loaded and traveling on their bikes. And that developed into what currently we think of as adventure bikes. Adventure bikes really are a segment that's very unique, and that's why I'm always addressing things that are very specific to adventures. Oh, this is good. It actually tastes like real coffee. So there is all sorts of adventure now. We have the KTM adventure, we have the BMW adventure. I've got tool bags on my bike from Wunderlich that say adventure. We have adventure camps, we have ADV magazines, we have ADV podcasts, we have ADV radio shows, we have ADV YouTube channels. But that means that there's something very unique about what we have going on here, and adventure is everywhere. Everybody talks about adventure. And everybody has different definitions of it. Some adventure means they go to a rally. Others adventure means they're dual sport, taking their big monster adventure bikes and ride them up through trails and dirt bike trails. It certainly is an adventure. Others adventure just means I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to travel borders and I'm going to go for years on end and spend my life savings and then come back and figure out what to do. And the reality is adventure is whatever you define it as. Most of us don't have the option to go travel for 2 years randomly around the world. We've got jobs, we have careers, we have families, we have mortgages, and so our adventures may be a little closer to home. What makes us an adventure is taking that step. You have to take that first step to make it a reality. You've got to get the bike and take it out off the pavement onto the gravel, off the gravel onto the dirt. You've got to take the steps to get the knowledge you need so you can pack the right gear, you know how to use your gear, go camping and try it out, and learn the physical skills and the riding skills that you need. Learn how to work on your bike. Learn your skills in a controlled environment before you end up out in the woods and falling off a cliff somewhere. It's navigation, it's working on your bike, it's knowing first aid, it's outdoor skills. Know that you're going to be tipping over and there's a learning curve. So make sure you have your stuff protected properly, but don't forget to protect yourself. And that's what I do when I do my training. It's to provide people the skills, the knowledge, the courage, the information. Adventure riding is what you define it as. It's what you believe. Adventure riding means it's the adventure that you're seeking. So here's today's adventure lesson. What I want to do is figure out how to use leverage and less energy to get this thing turned around. So the first thing to understand is, yeah, these are big, heavy bikes, but they all have a balance point where they balance with almost no effort whatsoever to hold them in place. And you see, this is balance. So when I start to move it around, I want to use as little as energy as possible, and I want to use as much leverage as possible. So once I find that sweet spot where it's balanced, I can turn the handlebars and I lean into the bag. I'm using my body weight so this bike will move back and up a hill. What that does is point, so now I get to roll downhill to make my turn all the way. Now I'm still holding this bike with very little effort. My hands aren't touching at all because it's at that balance point. It's self-balancing in this position. I give a little tug. I'm holding the bike right at the sweet spot. There we go. Okay, 3 steps to make sure you're always successful when you turn your bike around. 1, make sure you find that neutral balance point. 2, use leverage. Don't waste a bunch of energy muscling that bike around. And 3, use the terrain to your advantage. It's about reducing energy and reducing risk. Adventure is about risky undertakings with unpredictable outcomes. It's going outside your personal comfort zone. I love adventure. I love adventure.